have gathered here in Trafalgar Square to protest the UK government's aims to prescribe Palestine Action as a terrorist group. Now, it's been claimed the group have caused £30 million worth of damages. Police have been very heavy-handed in what seems to be a very peaceful protest.
What the government seeks to do is to criminalize protests, especially militant protests, in support of Palestine. It's really jarring to be called a terrorist when what you're really doing is trying to save lives. Palestine Action is trying to prevent terrorism. We're here today to let the government know that its attempts to ban our group will not be met with silence.
Yeah, I'm here to show solidarity with Palestine Action. I think the fact that the government are trying to criminalize them as a terrorist organization whilst they continue to participate in the genocide is so outrageous, and it's just a part of this general gaslighting that has been taking place from the British government and the British mainstream media.
Protests in support of Palestine Action, who have been repressed in an unprecedented way by the British state and by the British government.
My name is Max Geller. I am a member of Palestine Action, and I have been for over 4 years.
Can you tell me why you're protesting here today to start off?
We're here today because Yvette Cooper has indicated that she is preparing to proscribe Palestine Action as an illegal terrorist group.
And I know you've spoken out against Suella Braverman's comments on protests before. What do you think the implications of that are now?
Yeah, well, they've been trying to criminalize this movement from the very beginning. I remember Suella Braverman even talking about waving the Palestinian flag should be criminal and all of this kind of stuff, but they haven't been able to. They're attacking Palestine Action because they've been able to embarrass British imperialism and the British military, right? Throwing paint on those planes has embarrassed the British military. And they're angry that despite everything they've done to stop the movement, at the weekend, 350,000 people still came out. So they hope that through criminalization, it will intimidate people, but it has the opposite effect. Actually, it makes people want to come out and say even louder, no, we are consciously on the side of the Palestinians and we support Palestine Action.
We are trying to prevent the flow of weapons into the arms of the Israelis who are more than happy to use them for extermination in Gaza. What the government seeks to do is to criminalize protests, especially militant protests, in support of Palestine. There can be no mistake about what's happening here. It is a draconian assault on all of our civil liberties in this country.
And can you see a world where the UK government reverses their position on this?
It does seem like the pushback from such an action has been pronounced, but not surprisingly, this has been one of the most shocking overreaches I've ever seen. Never before has a domestic protest movement been banned as terrorists before. And many other protest movements have targeted RAF planes for the subject of their protest. It seems like to this government, it's only terrorism if you're doing something in support of Palestine.
So my name's Lindsay. I'm with the International Jewish Anti-Zionist Network. So we're protesting, what Keir Starmer's doing as they are prescribing organizations as terrorist groups. They are the real terrorists, and the genocide in Gaza is only continuing, and the destruction in the Middle East is only continuing in Iran. Mothers, fathers, and children are being killed. So we are protesting here today because it's absolutely deplorable that this is what our country is doing, where the real terrorists are the ones in power. It's the state of Israel, and they're the ones that are committing genocide.
And when you see this, the UK government trying to prescribe them as a terrorist group, and you see the actions of Israel and the US, what do you have anything to say about that comparison?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would say it comes from a sign of weakness, the repression that is taking place. I mean, Keir Starmer at the moment, as you say, he actually completely backs the US, he completely backs Donald Trump and the bombing of Iran. This is despite the fact that the public mood or support for such bombings is not there at all. And this Palestine movement is also a symbol of that. It's a symbol of the fact that British imperialism does not actually have the support it needs at home. And Keir Starmer and the police, they're all very worried about that. They're worried about where this can go. And I hope it grows. Every single thing they do exposes in the eyes of hundreds of thousands of people in Britain that they are more interested in protecting their interests through murder, through bombing, through exploiting people all over the world than they are defending people in this country, whilst at the same time implementing austerity. All of this is leading to so much anger at the British government and Keir Starmer specifically.
So we're the Palestinian Youth Movement, along with 50 other organizations who've joined here today and called this protest in support of Palestine Action, who have been repressed in an unprecedented way by the British state and by the British government for their incredibly important work highlighting the British complicity in the genocide in Gaza.
And what do you think the implications of describing the Palestine Action group as a terrorist organization, what do you think the implications of that are?
Well, it's going to have incredibly dangerous trickle-down effects for the rest of the movement. That's why the movement is showing up here united today in support of Palestine Action, because this attempt to repress one part of our movement is ultimately going to lead to repression against the entire movement. That's why we're showing up united here today.
Thank you. And can you see a world where, the UK government reverses their position on this?
I think that's what we're here to force them to do. They're not going to do it out of their own sort of volition. What they are doing here is hiding their own complicity. When Palestine Action reveals their complicity, when the movement reveals their complicity in the genocide in Gaza, their attempts at repressing that is so that they hide their complicity. So they're not going to do it out of their own volition. This works out for them. But what we're here to do is to not let that happen. And yeah, this is why we're here. This is why we're here today.
And how does it make you feel when you see the UK government trying to prescribe Palestine Action as a terrorist group? When you see what Israel is doing laid out next to that, in Palestine, in Iran, Lebanon, the list goes on. How does that make you feel?
It just really highlights the importance of the work that we're doing as a movement. We're getting stronger, we're getting more organized, and it just shows that we're not going to let this stand for much longer. Of course, what we see what we see in Gaza, what we now see in Iran as well, these attacks on our region, just sort of fire us up to continue working on what we're doing and building a stronger movement united against imperial British and Western complicity in Zionist genocide.
It's just insane that this is where they're putting their resources, that this is where they're funding things rather than investigating the real terrorism, which is the Israeli government and the UK government for being complicit. And they're giving arms to this country that's causing so much havoc and genocide in the Middle East.